number for the hospital, but the physician was only $1 million. I'm going, okay. 51.
Yeah, yep, that is correct. The actual, that umbrella liability does cover the physician's claim as well, too. So it's the 1 million, 3 million.
I just wanted to make sure because it's like, I don't.
And then you've got the additional umbrella liability covering the hospital and physicians as well. So it's significantly higher than the 1 million, 3 million. So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I didn't think that made a lot of sense, but I
Betcha.
wasn't asking a question. So then on the follow-up question is, what are we doing to protect against cyber crime? Those kind of things, the things we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. We've had a contract ever since we moved with the Avera Health System out of Sioux Falls. Most of our IT, our electronic medical records, our servers, our network, we've got some housed locally, but all of it is managed by the folks out of Sioux Falls who invest a significant amount of money on cybersecurity. Not really in the cloud. There's a very few inside the cloud. They've got a database up in Sioux Falls.
So it goes back and forth.
They've got a bunker, yeah.
Okay.
But they invest a lot of money in cybersecurity. It increases every year. They've done a good job. We're all at risk. Nothing's 100% perfect, but they do invest a lot of resources beyond just what we invest locally in cybersecurity.
Well, you're just an awful good target, and there's been a number of hospitals and more doctors' buildings that have been compromised over the last year, and it's too bad these people don't actually want to get a job and work somewhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the world we live in, and everybody's at risk, and you do the best you can, and you invest a lot of resources, but yeah, it's always on our mind.
So you won 3 out of 3. Good answers. I don't have any others.
Any other questions?
Do you have any? I think we're all good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while since you replaced Jerry, but Jerry was here for a long time before you.
That's correct, and I'm not that young either.
No, I didn't say that. That can't be attributed to me.
No.
Thank you.
Motion to accept Floyd Valley Healthcare's audit report for year ending June 30th, 21.
I'm second. I'll make a second. Roll call. No roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? They want these books back, I think. Thank you, hospital folks. Okay, so now we're going to move to the police department building, phase 2. On May 7, 2019, the city entered into an agreement with CMBA Architects for the design and preparation of bidding documents for the Morris Police Department phase 2 project. Brent from CMBA and Ryan from Wilson Brothers will be here to present final design and cost estimate. Administration and Public Safety Committee are recommending the following public hearing on the 2nd of November, bids on the 30th of November, council award on the 7th of December. You guys want to come and explain why the costs keep going up?
Yeah, you don't have, all I included in here, guys, is just the one page, and that's just, all that does is give you an idea of what phase 2 is and what that space will include, and the 2 budget sheets.
Yeah, the budget basically $1.2 million. So give us a little 30,000 feet overview of what we got going.
All right. And I believe you have the floor plan in your package.
Yep.
So what we'll be looking at is the finished areas in the blue there, and we'll be finishing off just a little under a half of the existing main garage space at the current PD facility. Spaces are going to include a classroom for around 45 participants, a couple of restrooms to serve that classroom, and then a couple of areas for police gear, for storage, armory, and then some other gear, and then an area for kind of fitness and training area as well. So that's kind of on the north end there. And the orange spot is the remainder of that main garage facility or main garage space, and some of the items in there have to be kind of redone as the 3,700 square feet of new finished space in that orange area, or the blue area. And then Ryan has some.
And then we're also doing the garage space, which is a very large space, which is added to the cost. Things that kind of need to be done to make the area in green usable, I would say. So you're looking at a 1.2 roughly budget. Roughly about 200,000 of that is the actual garage space, which is just mechanical and electrical. And then we've had some alternates to add painting, depending on how the bids come in, to add to that if we need to. But included in your budget for 1.2 is just M&E, which is mechanical and electrical, in that orange area you're speaking of, to pretty much bring the building up to snuff and make it operable for the guys out there. We also, in that 1.2, have miscellaneous items, which would be allowances, a budget allowance, and a contingency allowance. That's 115,000, which is also included in that 1.2 million.
So some of the items on here, from, I understand from talking to Kevin, were not even figured the first time we ever looked at this, because we didn't know we were gonna have some of the issues with the electrical, some of the issues with maybe even heating and cooling, or ductworking, or lights, or whatever. Is that a fair way to say it?
Correct, correct. If you're talking about a few years back when we were doing phase one.
Right.
Yeah, and that was just basically the skin of it. It really wasn't entailing a whole lot of the work. So that's pretty much why the budget's extremely higher than it was before. So, and we're doing double the square footage
Yeah, so
from before.
Yeah, you can look at, way back when phase one was approved, the number that was thrown out for a phase two was 500,000.
Right.
Okay? That didn't include anything in the garage area. It included a lot of our city staff doing a lot of the work. But today, we have to include the garage because of electrical issues and other things that they can talk about. But this is beyond, the work that's got to be done is beyond our city crew's capabilities. So what was talked about years ago is really not feasible anymore.
The scope of work has extremely expanded from that point. We're doing a lot more work.
So you're still pretty hopeful, though, of getting around this budget time from local and others that you talked to? Hopeful is a good word.
Hopeful is a good word.
Okay.
Prices increase weekly. I think everybody pretty much knows that anymore. So the last budget was done over a month ago, so we'll see how everything turns out. Everything, it's a tough job being estimating right now. It's a tough one to budget, so.
And are you expecting to do this like right away if you get, everything awarded on the 7th? Is it gonna work that right then, or is it gonna be a month later, or?
We're hoping to start construction in the middle of December if
Okay.
everything goes as planned.
Okay.
I think the original budget we had was 500,000. Working with Kevin and Brent with the new set of plans, we were at 1.37. Kevin, through his hard work, and Brent, we were able to drop that to the 1.2. So there's been a lot of work by the design team and Kevin to bring the cost down as far as we can possibly bring it down, and give Kevin enough room to work and function out of that space.
So Kevin, if you get this done this way, are we good for a few years?
Well, I think the full intent when we did phase one and bought that building was going into a structure that would serve the community for 40 years. I think we will have it there. We have garage space, a little bit of room for expansion inside. This will give us the elements that we kind of missed out on phase one with the classroom. It's, I don't even have a room right now where I can fit 17 employees in. So it's really crucial for me to have that classroom. I know Justin's kind of ready, and he's been contacting some companies already where we want to bring training to Lamar's, maybe put some heads in beds, and we kind of want that to be a hub for us. The equipment room is essential, the armory is essential, and the training fitness area I think is going to be very beneficial for both us mentally and physically, just getting in shape and training. We've cut a few things, but I think what we're down to, I think is going to work extremely well.
Yeah, I went in, so going into those meetings to try to make that number look better, I didn't think it was right to just start cutting stuff to make a number look better. If it was going to be something we needed to address sooner than later. We're still eventually going to have to spend the money. So I don't know. I think we bid it, see what they come in. Hopefully the estimate is good, if not generous.
Well, it's a good project. They can, if they're gonna be doing the work in December, January, February, March, you're gonna keep a lot of people busy in the area. It's clearly gonna be indoor work, 90% of it, 95% of it. And obviously, you've gone through these plans, you guys probably a couple million times, we've only gone through a couple dozen times. But no, we don't like the cost, no different than anybody else doesn't like the cost, but I want it to be, when it's done, I don't want you guys to come back and do what Jason says, 6 months saying, well, yeah, but we had to cut this out, and we're gonna come back and stuff. So,
We had talked about doing a phase 3, and I think we would exactly be that in 2 or 3 years. We'd be doing half of what we're doing now, and the cost is going to be triple.
because once we get this done, there's the other guy in the back that wants a new ladder truck. He wants a ladder truck in a couple of years or something.
He wants a new fire station. What are you
Well,
talking about?
he's gonna have to deal with a different council on that. But he's good at it too, so.
Once the bids come in, you're confident they get locked, right? Pricing would be locked at that point.
Yeah, the entire project will be bonded by each contractor, so your pricing will be locked in, yes.
Okay, and I agree, we put a new roof on this a while back, right, during phase 1? We
Yes,
put a brand new
yes,
roof
the
on it.
entire building.
Okay, and then Kevin, I appreciate your explanation on the classroom, because that's something I wanted you to say. I had a general idea why we wanted it, but I think that needed to be emphasized, what we're doing there.
Right. I'll kind of recap this one.
Yeah,
I don't want
please
to spend
do.
a lot of time, but 15 years ago, we hired a firm to come in and evaluate what the city of Lamar's would need for a police facility. And at that time, the consultants recommended a facility of approximately 12 to 15,000 in square footage to facilitate everything that a police department would need to operate on. So this completed project will be around that 13,500 square foot area, which is going to be very similar to what we were going to construct in the old CSS building. I believe that was, they mirrored that pretty much, 13,500 up here, and then they put 13,500 into the office area, into this area here, which included the classroom, the training room. Everything that was in the old plan at CSS is in this plan with phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay, any other questions for Kevin or Ryan?
Yeah, I got something. I know you've been working on this for a period of time because I was around when you were working on it earlier. And what I like now is the plan is more complete than it was before. It costs money to do a lot of things, and we don't need to be spending money twice. So I looked this over pretty carefully, and when you talked about it, and it was things that was thrown out that should be, but could we? Well, we need to do some of these things, not because we just want to. We need to do some of these. And I think it's important for the taxpayers to understand that too. If they don't get the right information sometime, we go out with negative vibes. Here, you're giving proper input, the council is giving input, and the questions are being answered. And that's what's important to the council and also important to the taxpayers, to make sure that this is put out to the public and it comes back in. There's been enough time that this has been out there. This is nothing new. It's been out there for such a period of time that it's a time that we move forward. You had the phase 1, the phase 2, and the phase 2 is supposed to have been done sooner than it is now. And I feel that maybe by the little bit of time it took to get to this point now, we've got this planned the way you want it. And there was things, after being an inspector of building codes, there was things in this building that need to come out in phase 1. But now that we're at phase 2, I'm being more comfortable with it too. I think the council.
So I agree with Rex. We've looked at these plans probably a million times, I really don't foresee any change orders unless they dig into the concrete and they find something that is, that's unknown, but plan-wise, nothing should change.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that I haven't heard the word value engineering, which is a word that is a swear word in my book. It always has been, and it was abused for a long time, so I don't really like value engineering. The other thing, before I'm done, is people need to understand, we're a city of 10,000 people, but we're really a city of about 13,000. And we need to keep our facilities and our departments focused on a much larger footprint than what we're actually given credit for in population, because of our workforce. So, yeah, I'm in full support. There's no question.
That's the same scenario happens with our water treatment plant and our wastewater.
Absolutely.
They're larger than.
We are larger than what we're said to be. We're quite a bit larger. So I think we do things right, period. I think we do things right.
We want you guys to all still be friends in 4 or 5 months when this thing is done. But we want it done, and if there is a problem when you're digging the cement, then we address the problem. But hopefully like you said, we've seen some of the issues that we have in the garage. And they're serious issues that we cannot have city employees running around trying to fix. We need to have real people in that profession running around and doing that. So that's why we're here. So, somebody want to make a
Motion to establish November 2nd, 2021 at 12 noon. As a public hearing on plan specification form of contract estimate of cost for the police department building phase 2 project.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor for the motion establishing November 2nd, 2021, 12 p.m. the date and time for public hearing, plan specification form of contract estimate of cost police department building phase 2.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just trying to keep the newspaper in business, but plenty of news stories, huh?
Hey, Jake, this will come up in the hearings too, but on the police station, lost funds are being used to fund this project, correct? Is that spread out over 5 years, part of those funds, or is it, how are you gonna do that?
We will be using a big chunk of it. We have some funds left over from last fiscal year.
Okay.
In this current fiscal year, and we'll kind of use those 2 years.
Okay.
If I may make a suggestion, don't use the acronym LOST funds. Spell it out and say local option sales tax. Because I think when you say lost funds, that maybe.
We just found them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
How about secret fund? Jacob's got a secret fund.
Local option sales tax.
Duly noted.
The other thing that I think Jacob told me, and make sure that I'm right on this, is that actually our local option sales tax revenue is up from a year ago.
Yes.
Okay, and we're gonna get more money on a monthly basis for this next year because we're up. So-
That is correct.
So it's happening basically because people are spending more locally in the town of 12,000, 13,000 on a daily basis. They're spending money in town, and we're collecting a lot of pennies. And obviously, with the way things are going in the world, the pennies are going to get bigger because people are spending more.
So if we take the current balance right now, it's just over $1 million. So how does that work, Jacob? Is that sitting in the account, or is it?
There's some of it already pre-designated for certain projects.
That's what I was.
But there's half to 2/3 of it that's sitting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a good chunk of it's just sitting there.
But some of it is spoken.
Some of it is allocated.
But this doesn't put us outside
No.
of where, okay, that's all
We'll
I'm,
be good.
good enough, all right. Always look to the guy with the gold, you know? There you go, all right.
He's trying not to misquote. He's choosing his words carefully.
All right, good enough.
Didn't want to spend it twice. I've tried that a couple times. Okay, this, E3, Administrative Committee conducted interviews with 3 applicants for a vacant city clerk position. In total, the city received 18 applications. 18 applications by city chide or code.
Oh,
The city ordinance or ordinances, the council shall appoint the city clerk by majority vote. So the city administrative committee is recommending that the council approve the hiring of Jan Feller to serve as city clerk. So, anybody got any questions of the administrative committee?
I guess I'm just gonna ask that we kind of decided, a lot of times by committee, when we hire department heads and positions in the city, to leave it up to whatever committee it falls under, whether it be a wastewater superintendent or a water superintendent or whatever. So this one was kind of left up to administration.
Administration was myself, Mike Donlin, Jacob, Jason. Like we kind of said, we had actually quite a few very good candidates out of the 18, and we tried to not interview a whole raft of people just because that's not fair. So we interviewed 3.
Okay.
Again, all 3 were qualified, and we just decided to go with Jan.
Can I ask what is her background?
She is in the
Sioux County.
Sioux County Attorney / Courthouse.
Okay.
The interesting thing about a city clerk, if you look in the Iowa code, is it doesn't have to have a college degree. It doesn't have to know accounting. It just has to be a good person that has the ability to get bonded and do reports and stuff like that.
Okay.
And we still got, Jacob's still gonna be a little bit the supervisor for the time being.